Hello and welcome to my world of crochet. My name is Dina and today I'm here with you for another yarn talk video. And as always, we can't really talk yarn without me having my faithful mug of tea. And today this tea is the loose tea blend that I get in the local city, Nijmegen. It's named Nijmegen's Trots, which basically translates to the pride of Nijmegen. It's a lovely black tea, loose tea blend with cornflower petals. It has raisins, it has dried pineapples. So it's like a fresh yet blossomy fruity flavor it has. It's just quite enjoyable. Anyhow, lots of things have happened. Today, of course, is a Friday, 29th of November 2024, and it's Black Friday, which means all the yarn stores are trying their damn best to tempt us to buy yarn. I've generally been pretty good, I'd say. I do have an incoming order. Not that I ordered it today, but I ordered it because it contains some yarns that I need to finish a project. And that's okay. Except for that, I have this idea that next year, my goal will be to busting my stash, in the sense of I will need to try to decrease my stash, shop my stash, do fewer yarn hauls, and I will probably make a video where we talk much more about that when we get closer to the new year, so you have an idea of what's going to be happening. So the plan for the crochet New Year's resolution, at least, is present. I also finished 2 projects since last. In fact, I had hoped to finish 3, but I finished 2. And that's the 2 headbands that I'm going to give away for Christmas. I am going to give away 2 headbands to my cousin's daughters to keep their small heads warm. They are children, and they have each their favorite color. One is pink rose, and the other one is a light blue. And the headbands I've already made before. A couple of weeks ago, I made headbands inspired on the Anemone design from Drops Design. The only difference is I work mine in the round rather than working them back and forth and then having to sew them together, because my experience was very simple. The fact that they worked up so much nicer, the closing of them, when I was working them in the round rather than having to sew them together. It could be my sewing skills. It could, but I just found it working much nicer and easier, basically just working them in the round. So that's how I did it. The light rose you have here, that would be for the youngest of the 2 children. You can still see where I change and work around here, because while it's working the round, I do kind of turn and work the round back. So it does have a slight little overlap if you really look for it. But generally it's nice and distinct. So this is for the youngest of the 2. And the older one has the color in the light blue. And that will be how this is worked up. So there is also, of course, a little notable size difference, because the size difference here is that the light blue has 1 star stitch more in the round than the pink one. So here we have my Christmas presents worked up. And for those that were joining me Wednesday, I was a live Wednesday afternoon where I was working on these, and I started working on the blue, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out how I ended up having 26 stars and not 24 stars in the round. And then I realized what I've done wrong, of course, after the end of the live. So basically what I did was I did the 26 stars and I was like, okay, I'll leave it for now. I'll come back to that later. And then I started working on the pink, which I got perfect the first time around. Only had to weave in the ends at the end of that live. I've done that. Ends are woven in. They are basically ready to be shipped to Denmark. And I will be shipping them to my mom so she can wrap them up nicely and so on, and ensure that the kids will be getting them. But as I said, I did have 26 stars. So this is 24 stars in the round, and this is a 23. The original I made in the round that I was successful with, I made a couple of weeks ago. That would be this one. It's 25. And since I can, with a little bit of squeezing and pulling, I can fit that. It's a bit tight, but I can fit it. Then I know that 26 is just going to be bigger, so that's obviously way too big. And that's not what I targeted for, but I was not being able to figure out what and how and what happened. So the star stitch requires you to advance 2 every time. So basically the star stitch is multiplied, or it has to be divided by 2. So to get 24, I needed 48 stitches in a row. And then when you start the round, you also chain 3 and work in from that chain 3 into how you progress and proceed. But what I did basically was I did not do 48 chains and then closing it. I did the 51, 48 plus 3, and then I closed it and I did the next 3 stitches, which is why the first row I was kind of sort of a half stitch short, but I figured out how I could kind of work that. And I thought I maybe just counted wrong, whatever, but it still looks okay. We're good. And then I had a look at it again and I counted. I was like, 26, why is 26? Of course, at the end of the life, I was like, right, I know what I did wrong now. But in the heat of the moment, I didn't remember it. But regardless, I decided, since I still had the extra yarn, because I took the leftover I had and worked up the small one, and I still have this I'm working on with the 26. As you can see, it's almost complete. I am on the last row of the star stitches, then I need to do a row of half doubles and it's done. And we have a larger one here. Not sure how much yarn I will have left, but I will definitely be enough yarn to make a one more headband. I also have enough pink left to make one more. So that is probably what's gonna be the fate of these 2. Yeah, so I'll make a few more headbands. I'll probably see if I can sell them on the local crafting site here in the Netherlands, and if not, I will keep them over, and it's a possibility that I will start selling them maybe on my own website in the future. Right now, that website idea is slightly postponed, because if I start do such activities right now, I might get in troubles with some unemployment benefits, which I don't want, obviously. The yarns I've been using for these headbands is the Nako Bonjour yarns. It's a wonderful yarn. It's 20% polyamide, 80% premium acrylic. It is 100 meters to, well, it's 100 grams, 3.5 ounces to 100 meters, which is about 120-ish, 20 some odd yarns of yarn. It's made in Turkey. It's a Turkish yarn, and it's quite soft, and I like it doesn't contain wool, because it does give the opportunity for those that might have allergies to wool to still have something that actually gives them a feeling that they're being warm. So, and this weekend I have to get out and around, which means that I probably need another car project. So I may consider bringing this with me to do car projects and just do headbands in the car, because it is a simple project. I can pretty simple work it up. So I could potentially also very easily do this in the car. So this is pending option for, I might bring this along with me in the car. But it's still slightly undecided, but that is probably what I'll be doing, because of course, why wouldn't I if it's an easy project? And for the car, it's also small. It's not something big. So I think it's actually might be a good car project even. But I do have another project that I'm considering bringing in the car as well. I used my prim hook for this, which is a 9mm prim hook, because it is a bulky yarn. So it works up pretty quick as well. I was doing this in, I don't know, a bit more than an hour and a half. And of course I was live, I was answering questions. I didn't only focus on doing that. And if I really put my mind to it, I could whip it up pretty fast. The time, well, what takes longest is to do the first row of the star stitches, because you work into the chain and not into some half double crochets. So that was kind of the only thing that was going on there. But as said, 2 items finished. Christmas presents for this year has been finished. I have no more crafting projects planned for Christmas. So in that sense, compared to last year, I'm pretty well, because last year I did them still on Christmas Day, or Christmas Eve was the last. I was wrapping them up and sewing them together and putting them into the boxes and so on. Today I'm done a month before Christmas. Well, 4 weeks, kinda-ish. That's nice. Then the next project, because we talk about these projects as I start working on them in chronological order, the next project I started working on is the Fleur Mosaic blanket, and we are now at round 67. I finished round 67. Round 67 is where we add the Fuchsia Purple. That will be this color. It looks almost like the red, but it is purple-ish. Pink fuchsia color. So I've done 1 round of that. Plus, of course, we have still the cream color that we are working on through. The first row of the fuchsia has been added. And this, my friends, is how we are currently looking. And no, we can't really show it all on the screen anymore. Also, surprise, surprise, which is not a surprise, it doesn't fit in my project crate anymore. Panic! I did weave in the ends. I've been a good girl. No ends. So we only have the 2 working ends pulling out of the blanket right now. The next round is cream. And I do believe in round 79, I will add the color Plum. So until round 77, it's going to be this. Because round 78 would be the cream. I will eventually, before I get there, need a new ball of cream. But this is still like the second one I'm working on, where for the color it would be the third. So it somehow feels like the white runs longer on the meter. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook, which is also what is advised together with this yarn. It is the Stylecraft Special DK yarn, which is 100% premium acrylic. They're 100-gram balls. And they go, I do believe it's 199, close to 300 meters, so 320 some odd yards. But I do pick them up to have them easier to work with. It helps me to prevent some tangling, and they don't get floppy of the skeins, etc. So I intentionally do like that. I can put them also on the yarn spins, yarn holders when they're kicked up and pulled from the outside. And I can easily just tangle them around as needed. So that is simply something I've concluded with this mosaic blanket. Kick up my yarns, it just such of a help. The project crate I have here, I still have some of the yarn labels obviously laying around here. Stylecraft Special DK, 295 meters, 322 yards. Premium acrylic. Can't be dried in the dryer even, as long as you do cool, and washed at 30 degrees. Can even be ironed at low. So this is how much I had back of the original Bordeaux-ish color. Then we had the claret red, which is the next. So there is also a little bit left, and I don't know how much I'll have left of the Fuchsia Purple. But what I do know is I have this idea that I'm going to keep all these leftovers, and then I can make some sort of small scrap project of what's left of these yarns once I'm done. But until then, I'm just going to kind of like, you know, keep the small leftovers, and then once this blanket is done, I'll see how much I have, and I'll figure out some fun scrappy project. The colors go well together in a nice blend, and that's maybe also why I have this idea that it could be working good for maybe even a hat or something like that. But I don't know yet. It's just, you know, it's just in my mind that it could be a great idea, right? So I like how this is working out, but it just doesn't fit into the project crate anymore. So I still need to figure out how to best do this. And I don't right now know. So it's kind of like just been hanging around on my dinner table. I should see if I can find a bigger box. That would be the most simple way forward. And I'm trying to work on it weekly. I should put off time basically to say every day I do half an hour or whatever. That would actually make good sense, though half an hour doesn't even get me around. If I'm lucky, it gets me a quarter of a row. Because every row increases by 2 stitches. And there are 4 rows. So every round I have 8 more stitches to work on. But it's working out nicely. I do really enjoy the progress of the blanket. And it is still my eternity project because I started on it on, I think it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Day last year. So, yep, we are still working on it and it is ongoing. The next project that I'm working on is the Aranel Shawl from K.A.M.E Crochet, or it's designed by her. She's an Hungarian designer. You can get her patterns on Ravelry, but also on Hobby. It is a Hobby Plus pattern. So if you do have Hobby Plus, you can get it for free as one of your free 3 monthly patterns. It's worked up in the, well, in the design, it's worked up in the Hobby Reels of Alpaca. I am working it up in a YarnArt Flowers Alpaca, which is more or less the same yarns, except they have different colorways. But you know, they're both 80% acrylic, 20% alpaca. They're both 250 grams. They're both 940 meters. You know, if I didn't know better, they're made on the same factory, just different colorways. I was supposed to be finished by this, and I would have been if the pattern used up all the yarn, but it didn't. I needed to make 8 rows of bubble fan stitches and then 1 finalizing row. I am now at a bit more than those 8 rows, I can tell you. I'm now at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, because there is more yarn left. It felt so odd only stopping here with a slight darker teal when there was much more darker teal in the cake to come. I don't have much left. It's sort of caved in, so I'm not keen on taking it out. But I am now on the last bit. If you look at the yarn itself, it's maybe a bit difficult, but I'll try to see if I can get it on camera. There is only 1 strand left of this lighter blue or lighter teal color in it, which basically means that I'm soon into the solids. So what are my plans? My plans are to continue working up this yarn. So I've just tried my best to extend the pattern and do more bubble stitches. And then once I'm into the solid colors, I'll do that finishing row and call it the day. Simply because it felt like it wasn't completely finished. I could have done a few more rows of the half doubles and then just the border out here. But I didn't know that I was going to have that much yarn left when I ended. So if I ever make this shawl in the future, I will probably make a few more rows of those half doubles and then work it up to the end here. It can also be due to yarn tensioning, etc., why it's not working out. But I think I've learned things. Absolutely. This is how we are looking. And we have this whole side of this gorgeous row of bubble stitches all the way to the end. So it is this irregular sized shawl. And I think it's not bad that it has a wider row. And I think I might only have maybe 1.5, maybe 1 or 2 rows left of these bubble stitches, and then it's the finalizing row. Would it have been nicer with a row or 2 less? Probably. Is it something that's destroying it? I don't think so. I think it's still nice. So looking forward to have this shawl complete, and due to the extra expected rows, because as you can hear, I have been doing bubble stitches, lots of them, I wasn't finished with it, and that's the only thing. So I'm kind of expecting to have this finished next week, because there is very little left. So that's a goal. This is going to be finished for next week's Yarn Talk video. And wherever my other projects are, I don't know, but this, my friends, will definitely be finished. I had wanted to also block the Thoughts of Aranel Shawl if my knees were ready, because 2 weeks ago I had an accident, and I crashed with my bike. I hit the asphalt pretty hard, and due to that, I got some nasty bruises on my knees, because that was kind of where I landed. And when I block, I do that on the floor, because that's the only place I have enough room for it. And that requires me to get down on my knees and crawl around. And that hasn't been compatible with blue marks on my knees, let's put it like that, because it's been really, really painful. I'm getting closer to them being better. Earlier this week, I was clearing up some things in our guest room, which is also kind of like the storage for my company. I do also have some yarns in there, etc. I was doing some clearing up of my my other business, and I'm preparing it because I am going to go on an event with it in a few weeks. Well, actually not next week, but the following. So now it's ready, which is really nice. It's one more task done. But I was also crawling around on the ground when I was doing some of that, because of some of the things I were doing. And when I had to get up, I was like, ugh, that was still quite painful. So they aren't really colored anymore, but they are still sore. So it hasn't really been time yet to block it. So blocking is still extended or postponed until I'm able to crawl around for a bit. The next challenge will be when we get closer to Christmas, the Christmas tree is going to get up. And the Christmas tree is going to stand where I normally do my blocking. Which means that I might have to postpone some aspects of blocking until the new year. If I have to do that, what I will do is maybe postpone the blocking of the Thoughts of Aranel Shawl and rather block my Firefly Sweater, because I do have a front and a back panel need blocked before I can start adding those sleeves. So that is might be what I'll do, is that I'll see if I can block that. It's been a couple of months since we talked about it, because it's been postponed until I've had time to block it, right? So I might do that and then pick that up before setting up the Christmas tree. But then every other aspects that I need to get blocked has to be basically waiting until after Christmas. So that was pretty much it, I guess. 4.5mm crochet hook is what I use for the Aranel Shawl. Expecting this definitely to be finished by next week's Yarn Talk video. So what else? We also started a new project. I started the Spearmint Poncho by Drops Design. And not that I've gotten very far. And I am using a 3.5mm crochet hook for this, which is basically the same as the Aranel Shawl. And therefore, I only just got started on it. Just, you know, I wanted to get a feeling of it. And yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'll first be finishing that Aranel Shawl, and then I can remove my crochet hook into the right box. I could also just get more crochet hooks, but I do actually have plenty, but I just very much enjoy how these hooks slide with the yarn. And yeah, so I do believe this Spearmint Poncho is temporarily put on hold until I finish the Aranel Shawl, which I could do already this weekend if I'm good. I'm not sure if I'll reach it today. but maybe this weekend. It kind of depends. The Spearmint Poncho, apparently the first couple of rows is worked back and forth, and then eventually it gets joined together, so it has like a little small split opening. So I decided to work the XXL version, and that's based on the measurements. And I thought, I do have a little bit broad shoulders. XL had probably been okay, but I'd rather make sure that I have enough. I do have enough yarn to do it, so that is what I ended up decided doing, because I'm like, you know, when this is put together, joined in the row round eventually, and it has to be on me, right? Yeah. And that was compared to how the design was sitting also on the others. So, and if it's going to be too big, that's going to be a shame. Worst case is I'll sell this and I'll buy some new yarns to make a new one. What is though, this is a pattern that forces you to think. The first aspect is easy, that is make a chain of X stitches. And then the next bit, exactly that next bit is increase by so many stitches, so you have a total, like, so the first was a chain, and then I had to do double crochets, and in that row of double crochets, or did I have a row of single crochets first? Jesus, I don't remember anymore. I had a row of single crochets first. So basically you did a chain and then you did a row of single crochets, and that was kind of okay. And then you had to increase in that row of single crochets. And it was just basically being like, you have so many stitches, you need to increase with so many stitches, and you need to do it evenly across the pattern. And evenly wasn't like every 3 stitches. It was sometimes every 3 and sometimes every 4. So what I ended up doing was I was taking this whole row, I was putting in 33 stitch markers across and trying to make it approximately evenly. So basically it's forcing you to think. The next place is now I need to increase as well. So I need to work in 2 double crochets in each of these gaps, and then sometimes I need to increase by 1, and I need to do that in the double crochet itself, that kind of like holds those gaps. That's next step. And then I do believe it's slowly getting ready to start wrapping this up as worked in the round. I like the color. I like how the yarn works up. It is a Drops Muskat yarn. This is the ball I'm currently working from, but I am just going to take out one of these balls for you to show you how they're looking. Drops Muskat. It is 100% mercerized cotton. Mercerized. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm Danish, come on. Danish living in the Netherlands with a fucked up accent. Drops Muskat, as I said, it's 100% mercerized cotton. It is Drops Yarn Group B, which is like the second thinnest, or from scale, it's Group 2, if Group 1 is the thinnest. It is somewhere between a sport weight and a DK weight. It's closing up to a DK weight, I would say. It's made in the EU and it's Ökotex certified, which means it's tested against any harmful substances. It's the colorway 3, which is called Mint. It suggests a 3mm crochet hook. 50 grams, so 1.8 ounces to 100 meters, so 109 yards. As I said, I'm using a 4.5 because that is what the pattern is calling for, and I think it's working up nicely. And so far, as I said, I'm just doing this step by step, following the pattern. And I'm probably first gonna progress on it once I finish the Aranel Shawl, because I believe I only have maybe two or 3 rows left on it. So then I'd rather just have that finished and stashed away knowing it's finished. And then I can assign myself completely to a new project. So that's kind of the plan right now, right? yeah, so that is the Spearmint Poncho, and this poncho was chosen by my members for me to work on next amongst all of my planned drops projects. Then, as mentioned, I am going away on a small trip this weekend. I'll just be away for a day, so it's not a long time. So I need a project, and I probably might make the headbands because it's nice and easy to work on in the car. But what I'm also considering is to bring my recycled cottons and start on a new summer shopper bag in the colors sand and off-white. Not off-white, beige, sand and beige. That is currently my idea. I also were talking about maybe starting to make the Daisy Daze bag, which is some granny squares. There's like a rough granny squares around it, and then there's some bag design around it. But then we are talking about some granny squares that I'm not used to making, so I will need to look at that. And I'm not sure if I need to finish the granny squares first before I can start making like the bottoms and so on the bag. And because I'm not 100% sure how that's all worked together, because I haven't read the pattern through yet, I think it's better to work on a project that I know how it works and functions and I put together. The summer shopper bag is a design I've done at least 3 or 4 times already, so it is a design that I'm very familiar with. I know how it works. It works out very easy and nicely. This is the yarn combinations that I want to do it in. It is a new yarn combination design, how I'm going to put the colors together. But I still think it's going to be looking absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, so I could also bring both. Then I'll do whatever I'm in the mood for. Or if I finish, even better, if I finish those headbands, I can start on this. Because this is also a project I'm probably going to bring with me on another trip. So that makes absolutely good sense. Because that's still some hours of work in that. So we will talk about that as we get closer. I think I am all caught up in all of the different aspects here. We definitely had a bit to talk about. And yeah, on Sunday is the first Sunday of the Advent. Less than 4 weeks for Christmas. It's crazy how time flies. It's 1st of December even. And the month of December is going to be quickly passed by for me. So yeah, what I'm gonna say is a happy crafting and take care until I see you again.